Well, good and welcome in to the Farzy Show on this fine Friday morning edition. We got a lot to get to today when it comes to all things 76ers. We have a lot to get to today with this very special Farzy feature. One of the things I wanted to do when we started this show, when I say we, because there's a whole team right here. One of the things I wanted to do was get out there and do some feature pieces. And of course, we do Farzy in the field. We have a lot of fun with that. But I wanted to do some Farzy features, if you will. And there's a great cause going on right now with Lasalle baseball and saving Lasalle baseball. If you haven't seen this story, and it's picked up a lot of steam, 6ABC picked up the story, CBS 3 picked up the story. It's been all throughout the Delaware Valley. The LaSalle University announced in September that they're going to be contracting their athletic department and getting rid of some teams, unfortunately. And one of those teams is LaSalle baseball. And in September, they made this announcement. So a couple of the guys from LaSalle baseball, and one of the guys that we'll talk to today, later on in the show, James Santori, he actually took up a cause for saving LaSalle baseball. Immediately got on the phone, started contacting different alumni. They got like 70 people on the phone almost immediately to try to save LaSalle baseball. So ever since September, they've been trying to raise money. Barstool got on board with them. David Portnoy actually did a pizza review with them to raise a lot of awareness. So we're going to try to do our part of the show today and talk to some of the members of LaSalle baseball alumni that are trying to save LaSalle baseball. So we have our first ever Farzy feature on the show. It'll be brought to you by our friends at FanUp, who sponsor Farzy in the Field, fine sponsor of this program. And we're gonna try to help get the word out about saving LaSalle baseball. They have a GoFundMe page set up to try to, if you want to help them, you can go to their GoFundMe page to do that. So we're going to talk a lot about them a little bit later in the show in our first Farzy feature piece on the program. We're also going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. Speaking of baseball, you know what? Maybe some of the LaSalle baseball players can also help out the Phillies. Maybe getting on base would be a good idea. Maybe pitching would be a good idea. Maybe you go out there and help out the bullpen a little bit. We're going to talk about the Phillies today. At least today we can't, bitch and moan about not knocking in runners, because in order to get runners, you have to have guys on base. So at least we can't talk about how they were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position or something like that, because really nobody was in scoring position. So we'll talk about the Phillies a little bit later. And we got some Eagles nuggets to get to on today's show. Miles Sanders addressed the media yesterday, as did Lane Johnson. And I got to say, a lot of times people can say, oh, file that under. Well, what is he going to say? What is he going to tell everyone that Nick Sirianni's a terrible coach already? What is he going to rip the game plan? What is he going to rip his new running backs coach? You can file a lot of that stuff under that category of, well, what's he going to say? But every once in a while, somebody will lay it on so thick that you actually think they mean it. And Miles Sanders and Lane Johnson both came out to talk about the game plan yesterday being installed by Nick Sirianni and his offense right now, and Shane Steichen, their offensive coordinator. And they seem gaga over this. One of the things Lane Johnson gets into is bringing back something that we used to hang our hats on here in Philadelphia to bail out the Eagles offense whenever they needed a big play. And sure enough, Lane Johnson brought that up when he addressed the media today. So we will let you hear what that is coming up in just a minute. But I would like to start with those 10-9-8 76ers and the great news that they got. If they were going to face a team in the playoffs in the first round as the number 1 seed, you would generally like that team to be a team that they dominated throughout the regular season. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what the Washington Wizards are. A team that the Sixers dominated during the regular season. They started off their season against them on December 23rd, and they were able to handle their business against Washington. Faced them a couple of weeks later, and they beat Washington again. And then after the All-Star break, we all remember what happened. Ben Simmons not playing. Joel Embiid goes down in the game when he injured his knee. He'd missed the next 3 weeks of the season, and still not being able to finish that game with Joel Embiid, not being able to have Ben Simmons in that game. Still, the Sixers were able to come up with a victory in that game, sweeping the season series against the Washington Wizards. And as luck would have it, that's who they're going to face in the first round of the playoffs. I will say, I don't think they're going to, some people are saying sweep. I don't think they're going to get a sweep here. I would love that. That would give me the warm and fuzzies that they were just able to blow that first round opponent out of the water and they can just move right on to the second round when I believe the series actually starts, or excuse me, the playoffs actually start for the Sixers. I can do that because I'm not playing in the game. The Sixers certainly can't do that and look past an opponent in the first round. I just want to see dominance. I think, though, with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, I feel like they're going to get one game. I just feel, and Berton, I just feel like those guys are going to be able to hit shots from the outside, and the Sixers are just going to be left thinking, well, they're shooting 50% for tonight. They're shooting 60% tonight. There's just nothing we can do. I feel like there's going to be one game where the Sixers make us upset. Not worried or concerned, but just upset. Like, oh, come on, this one game, you couldn't get it together, whatever it might be. And it's not going to be so much that the Sixers aren't playing well, but I feel like there's going to be one game that the Wizards are going to steal because they're going to be on fire, and there's really nothing the Sixers can do about that. One game. So I think the Sixers win this in 5, and then we're all moving on with our happy lives. But I want to ask this question, and let's make this our poll question today. Brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. I want to ask you, and by the way, let me say this real quick. I'm sorry, I meant to say this at the top of the show. We're not on Twitter today. You want to watch the program, YouTube's the place to be. So for all the people who like to comment on the show with our social media check-in on YouTube, I'll be paying extra attention to you today. So we'll make sure we talk to you about that a little bit later. But one of the things we're going to do with this poll question, here's what I want to ask. What are your expectations? Like, I hate to use the phrase or bust. I feel like when people are like, oh, or bust, like what does that mean to you? Does that mean you'll be pissed off if they don't get to this point? Because every year should be the mentality of that's championship or bust. But what is it for you with the Sixers? What's the bottom line? Sixers have to do this or the season was a waste. Sixers have to do this or you're going to be upset that they underachieved. For me, the bottom line for the Sixers, worst case scenario for me not to be pissed off, Sixers have to be an Eastern Conference Finals team. They have to be an Eastern Conference Finals team. If they're the number 1 seed and they get bounced out of the playoffs again in the second round, if their season ends in the second round of the playoffs again, and for 20 years it'll make it that they haven't been able to get past the second round of the playoffs, yeah, that's going to be upsetting. Put it this way, in whatever it might be, 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time, if I'm doing the show and I'm talking about how the Sixers just got bounced out in the second round and didn't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll tell you this, don't miss that show because I will set the world on fire if that happens. I'm asking this question right now. Where do the Sixers have to finish their season in order for you to go, all right, well, hey, they had a great run? Because just getting the number 1 seed of the Eastern Conference isn't enough for me to go, hey, they had a great run. Getting the Eastern Conference Finals would be a great run. Getting to the NBA Finals, which is obviously what I'm rooting for, what I'm hoping for. Hell, I'm rooting for we get a parade in a couple of months here in Philadelphia. That's what I'm rooting for. That's what I want to see. But what is the bottom line? The Sixers have to do this or the season's a bust. Is it the Eastern Conference Finals? Is it NBA Finals? Is it a championship? What is it? So we'll ask that question today. Couple of great accolades for the Sixers yesterday. Joel Embiid actually got this is a little surprising because I thought a lot of people would just push him aside because he's played in 20 fewer games than Nikola Jokic. Joel Embiid actually got a nomination, or not nomination. He's a finalist for the MVP. He's up there with Steph Curry, and he's up there with Joker. So those are the 3 finalists for the MVP award in the NBA. I am going to be I'm not going to be surprised. I think Joker gets it. I think everybody else is playing for second. I think it's going to be Joker. I think it's going to be Steph Curry, and I think Embiid's actually going to finish third, unfortunately, but just because of the games played. But I think when it comes to those players, I think most people around the league are going to look at Joker and just say, yeah, he's running away with it. That's the end of the story. But I would hate for Joker to become the first center since Shaquille O'Neal to actually win the MVP of the NBA, because I just feel Joel Embiid is a better player. And if he's a better player, I would want him to break that trend in the NBA, because I really do think he is the perfect combination of the type of player that could play against Shaquille O'Neal and then play in today's NBA, where a lot of the game is played away from the rim, even if you are a center like Joel Embiid. And Joker can certainly hit shots from the outside as well. But I just feel like the inside game, both of those attributes go more to Joel Embiid than they do Nikola Jokic. So it's gonna upset me, but I feel like we all just need to brace ourselves for that disappointment that Joker is going to be able to win that award. Unfortunately, Steph Curry, the way he ended the season and carried the Golden State Warriors into the playoffs, albeit an 8th seed right now, is nothing short of spectacular. So they got to win the 8th seed, and beat the Grizzlies. But it's a wild thing that we're going to be following throughout the postseason right now, and I just think Steph Curry is going to finish above Joel Embiid, and a lot of that just comes down to overall notoriety. JoJo has an MVP waiting for him down the line in the NBA in his career. I just don't think that happens this year. The other accolade that happened, and then there's one surprising thing that didn't happen. One accolade that happened was Ben Simmons getting named a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert are his competition for Defensive Player of the Year. Doc Rivers has certainly said many times throughout the year that JoJo's his MVP and Ben Simmons is his Defensive Player of the Year. I think if the Sixers are going to win a postseason award when it comes to what the regular season success, I think Ben Simmons is going to be the Defensive Player of the Year. And that is something that we can all celebrate. That's something we can all enjoy. And I know a lot of people that are trying to rip Ben Simmons and always concentrate on just the jump shot. I feel like a lot of people are going to be eating a lot of crow when they talk about how good a defensive player Ben Simmons is. So I look forward to at least that trophy coming to Philadelphia. And then the Sixers adding the Larry O'Brien trophy on top of that. And it all starts postseason-wise on Sunday, 1 o'clock in South Philadelphia. Can't wait for that. Beyond excited because my expectations are so high. And I don't just have high expectations. I'm just flat out. I'm going to be so disappointed if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I actually believe in the expectations. Jimmy Butler and that run that they got bounced out with the quadruple doink against the Raptors and all that. That was a fun season overall, because it felt like you were finally pushing your chips into the middle of the pile, in the middle of the table after the process. But the expectations weren't for them to, like, I didn't have crazy aspirations that they were going to make it to the finals. This team has a legit chance of making it to the NBA Finals. So hopefully that's the case, and that's what we'll all be rooting for the Sixers to do this year. Sunday, 1 o'clock, it all starts against the Wizards. Something else, the out of the world of the last thing. Doc Rivers not getting a nomination for Coach of the Year was very surprising. I think the job he has done with this Sixers basketball team has been phenomenal. And I know a lot of people want to still pile on Brett Brown. Oh, look at Brett Brown and what he did, and look what Doc Rivers is doing with this team. It's not at all the same team. And I give a lot of credit to Daryl Morey and adding Seth Curry and adding Danny Green and getting that veteran leadership and bringing in a guy off the bench like Dwight Howard, who has just been wonderful this year. He's been enjoyable and and extremely productive on the court as well. He's both been entertaining and productive, and I love that combination when you're talking about a backup center. And Daryl Morey is the guy that made that happen. Daryl Morey needs to be an executive of the year on top of all this. But when you talk about getting the most out of Tobias Harris, just like he was able to do in Los Angeles when he was coaching him with the Clippers, getting the most out of Joel Embiid right now, getting the most out of Ben Simmons right now, finding a way to orchestrate this offense the way it was designed to be run, I think is 100% a reason why Doc Rivers should at least be in contention for the Coach of the Year award. And him being left off of that is just a disgrace. And think about this. You have Joel Embiid, a top 3 finalist, all right, a finalist, top 3 in the league for MVP. You lost him for 3 weeks and Doc Rivers had this team stay on course. That is a huge, huge tip of the cap to Doc Rivers and the job he did with this team. For him to not get that type of consideration, I think, is an absolute joke. Just like I think if Embiid was left off the MVP finalist list, the top 3 in the NBA, if he was left off, that'd be a joke. Doc Rivers being left off coach of the year, another joke. So I just wanted to make sure I referenced that during the show today. All right. As I said earlier, at least we can't be pissed off that the Phillies left runners in scoring position when they really didn't have anybody in scoring position. But yesterday was a really, really weird day for the Phillies. They're trying to wrap up the series against the Marlins, a team that has just given them a lot of trouble over the years. And Vince Velasquez, last minute, can't start. He's got numbness in his, I believe, his pitching pointer finger. His right pointer finger, he can't go. He said after the game he had the same issue against the Blue Jays in the last series they played, but somehow, some way, it went away and he was fine. This time it didn't go away, so it's something that they're looking into. David Hale's got to come into the game as the starter all of a sudden, and you have a bullpen game out of nowhere. Pitching-wise, yeah, you're not going to expect a lot when you got to get 9 innings from your bullpen all of a sudden. Batting-wise, Alcantara, I'll say this. I guess he just turned into Nolan Ryan yesterday. Whatever he was doing was working against the Phillies rather well. Phillies batters looked silly and got 3 hit by Marlins pitching throughout the game yesterday. 3 hit. Silly. And it might sound like an obvious thing, but they went on to lose, 6-0 yesterday. Joe Girardi comes out after the game and says it's easier when the ball is starting out of the zone. It's easier to swing and miss at that or get fooled by that, or at least try to track that pitch, because you're starting with something you already think is going to be a ball. But when the ball is starting in the zone and you're seeing 2-seam fastballs fade in and away from in towards hitters and away from hitters, that's where it really starts to mess with you. And that's where the Phillies really got confused by yesterday and really got tripped up on yesterday by Alcantara's amazing performance that he had against Phil's bats. So they just look silly. Joe Girardi after the game kind of chalked it up to, you're going to have games like this. You're going to have games where it was more so what the pitcher was doing as opposed to mistakes that the batters were making. And I get that's how the manager has to look at it. But at some point, when you're paying guys like Bryce Harper, there should be the team slump busters, if you will. And that's what I think a guy like Bryce Harper should be. Rhys Hoskins needs to be that guy as well in this lineup, and I just don't think that's happening. Odubel Herrera, God bless him, man. He moved up to the 2-hole yesterday, and he has been red hot for the Phillies as of late, but it was nobody could really get anything going for them yesterday. The Phillies offense just looked lost. At any time, and Joe Girardi also said this after the game, anytime you have 3 hits in a ball game that came in like the 2nd, the 4th, and the 8th inning, anytime they're spread out like that, you're going to look silly. You're going to look flat is the word Joe Girardi used yesterday. And the Phillies certainly looked flat in yesterday's game. So hopefully they get a bounce back performance and they're able to get the offense back on track. I want to move it ahead to the Eagles now, because I was teasing that earlier along with Lane Johnson talking about this offense. There has been something that we have been missing in Philadelphia, and we've been missing this ever since Brian Westbrook was the running back of the Eagles. And you saw it a little bit. There's like Chip Kelly got bubble screen happy, and that was one of the things that just became so predictable about his offense. But one of the things we really haven't seen much of, Corey Clement did this in the Super Bowl run, and we'll miss him as he signed with the Giants. But there's one thing we've been missing, and it's the screen game. Andy Reid, we always talked about the run and pass ratio and all that stuff, but the screen game was what Andy Reid liked to think of as it's like a run because it sucks in the defense, right? It keeps them close to the line of scrimmage. Brian Westbrook, it was an art form. And to Donovan's credit, that little pass that he would have, that little screen pass, that little dump off, that was one thing that you could always have with consistency. And he should. He's a professional quarterback, dump it over the defensive line as they're in his face, and he's able to get it to Brian Westbrook. Next thing you know, it's a 63-yard touchdown against Washington, for instance, and Brian Westbrook would take it to the house every single time. I have missed that. We have all missed that. We've talked about that a lot. And why don't they do that more with Miles Sanders? Why didn't they do it more with Corey Clement? Well, all that. Why don't they do that more? Lane Johnson addressed the media yesterday about Nick Sirianni's offense, about Shane Steichen, the offense coordinator, installing the game plan, or not game plan, but at least installing the offense right now. Lane was asked to, while he was addressing the media yesterday, explain what he likes so much about this offense and more or less give us the elevator pitch, the short pitch on why this offense is going to be successful. Here's Lane talking about Nick Sirianni's offense.
Yes, it's pretty balanced. I mean, a lot of similarities. Basically a pro-style offense. So really a lot of different terminology, kind of same schemes, but with a few new wrinkles in. Maybe a little bit more emphasis on the screen game than the past offense. So I'd probably say that. Still relatively new, still trying to learn everything, but really, we like to start it off with a strong run game and feed off the play action and screens. So I feel like, you see successful teams, those guys are doing that. So that's what we're trying to do.
Surprised. I'm not surprised in the least bit that it's Lane Johnson saying this. There's a couple of things jump out to me right there. The first thing is the screen game. We have not seen that. So to hear that again is music to my ears because you have the perfect guy to use in all that. Miles Sanders can catch the ball well out of the backfield. Kerryon Johnson certainly did that for Detroit. You have Gainwell coming in here as well, so you can see what he can bring to the table there. But Miles Sanders is your guy. He's the star of the backfield. So seeing him be able to do that, or at least hearing Lane Johnson talk about using that screen game again, is phenomenal. The other thing is, let's not forget this. Lane Johnson was the angel on the shoulder of Doug Peterson about running the football. We talked back in the day a million times. It always gets brought up that Brad Childress, going back to the day, right? Brad Childress was always the angel on the shoulder of Andy Reid saying, "Psst, run the football. It's good to run the football. It'll help set up passes if you run the football." Lane Johnson was that same guy for Doug Peterson. Number of times against the Cowboys, against the Giants, most notably. Lane Johnson would be the guy either on the field or on the sideline. I remember against the Giants 2 years ago, Lane Johnson going to Doug, "Hey, let's keep running the football. It's working. Let's run the football." And sure enough, that's what they would end up doing and then start winning football games. Lane Johnson would even talk about it after the game, about how he was telling his head coach, "You got to run the football." So hearing Lane Johnson say, "Hey, you know what's funny about those teams that win a lot? They use the run to set up the pass." Hey, there's an idea. Now, a lot of people might look at Doug Peterson and say, "Oh, well, why wouldn't Doug do that? You run to set up the pass. He should know that. He was a player. He's been a coach in the league for a long time and all that. Why wouldn't he know that?" Well, it makes me think about the Green Bay game 2 years ago in Green Bay. The game that came out as a sticking point for Doug Peterson, because if you remember all the stories that have come out now, most notably Zach Berman and Bo Wolf and Shio Kapati of The Athletic, when they wrote their story, and Jeff McClain as well, when they wrote the story about Doug Peterson and dissension in the front office of the Eagles, what was the one game? One of the games they focused on was the Green Bay game in Green Bay 2 years ago, where the Eagles apparently stopped passing the football and started running the ball more. And that was the game that Jeffrey Lurie said to Doug, something along the lines of, "Hey, yeah, it's great that we won, but why didn't you pass more? Analytics say to pass more. Why didn't you pass more?" And Doug's like, "Because running the football was working." So he made the adjustment. The reason I bring that up is because I don't think it's just the head coach that's saying, "Oh, yeah, let's abandon the run. Let's just concentrate on the pass." I think it's just an overall philosophy by the front office, by the analytics department, by Howie Roseman's guys, by Jeff Lurie's guys to tell the head coach, hey, stop running. We got to pass the football. We got to pass. But Lane is saying, "Hey, whoa, here's an amazing breaking news story that actually running the football helps out an offense, especially if you have a healthy offensive line. Well, even if you don't have a healthy offensive line, because generally speaking, most offensive linemen want to run block anyway because it's thud and done. But Lane Johnson's coming out saying, "Yeah, you could use that run to set up the pass." Wow, breaking news. So that's what I took away from Lane Johnson's press conference yesterday. He seems really excited about this offense, more so than just saying the nice things that anyone should say anytime a new head coach or offensive coordinator takes over an offense. Now, Miles Sanders is an interesting thing. There's two things that jumped out to me from Miles Sanders yesterday while he was addressing the media. One, how much he really did love Deuce Staley, and that's not a big surprise. Most people know that. But he was comparing, and he did this on his own. It wasn't originally asked to compare the new running backs coach, Jamal. I'm blanking right. Singleton. Jamal Singleton. It wasn't just asked out of the blue, hey, compare him to Deuce. This kind of took on a life of his own, and Miles Sanders started comparing him anyway. Later in the press conference, he was asked to compare the two, and Miles Sanders had trouble finding the right words, but here's how he is comparing his new running back coach in Jamal Singleton to his old running backs coach in Deuce Staley.
So it's just added. I'm telling y'all, Deuce is Deuce. Like, I don't know. Like, only if y'all would be in those meeting rooms, y'all would know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't know. I say Deuce is more goofier. You know, Deuce loves. He has all the jokes. But Coach Singleton, he has some jokes, but you know, his energy amps up when he's on the field. Like, his energy's always up. Deuce has energy, but only when he's mad.
We've heard the jokes on the sidelines with Deuce Staley, especially the Boston Scott slowest spin cycle or spin move he's ever seen and all that. So you can tell that Miles Sanders is going to miss his former running back coach, but we'll see what happens here with Singleton. The other thing that he got into was this little theme that's going on right now in the Eagles locker room about being hungry. And we let you hear from Jalen Hurts yesterday, talking about how hungry him and his receivers are and how hungry the Eagles are right now, right? And it makes you think of Jason Kelce, hungry dogs run faster and all that. Well, Miles Sanders was asked yesterday about how talented this offense is and what his expectations are for the year.
I'm going to keep saying that I love what we have going on. And I'm pretty sure everybody can say the same. But I think if all of us stick in and lock in together, I think anything's possible. I think last year that's in the rearview mirror. We had a chance to still make the playoffs with the record we had, came up short, but all we remember is that we didn't make the playoffs. And that's gonna make a whole bunch of players in Philly hungry, and I think that's dangerous.
Young athlete being as hungry as a guy like Miles Sanders is, or Jalen Hurts is, or Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and they should be. If you're a younger player in the NFL, any sport, you want to show other people what you can do. You want to be hungry. You want to be determined. You want to be successful. But hearing a guy like Miles Sanders talk about it and knowing that it's such a young core right now with Sanders, Smith, Jalen Reagor, you even have Dallas Goedert, obviously, as your tight end. Like, you want to hear how hungry those guys are. And Miles Sanders, you always want to hear, speaking of hungry and analogies like that, you also want to hear that they have a bad taste in their mouth from missing the playoffs last year. Even though it was a 4-win season, you have to be thinking, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, 4 wins, bad taste, sure. But missing the playoffs ultimately is what matters, because everybody across the NFL will say the same thing, and really all sports. Maybe even more so in the NFL, because there is an opportunity where anything can happen. Somebody can get hurt, whatever it might be. Get in the tournament and just see what happens. You just got to get in, and then anything is possible after that. And that was something else he got into, that when you talk about this offense and the potential that's there and the game plan, or I keep on saying game plan and I mean scheme, the scheme that's being installed right now, the style of offense that's being installed has given Miles Sanders a lot of confidence in what this team can do. And if I'm Miles Sanders and I'm hearing about a screen game, yeah, man, let's party, because I can get some receiving yards out of that and touchdowns with this offensive line if they're staying healthy for me throughout the year. So I really loved what the guys had to say yesterday. Fletcher Cox addressed the media yesterday. Brandon Graham a couple of days ago as well. And how about Nick Sirianni wearing the Brandon Graham t-shirt on the practice field? That was pretty funny. So all good things coming out of Eagles camp so far. So let's hope that keeps on going up into training camp, just a couple of months away right now. Before we get to our first ever feature piece on the show, we're going to talk to Lasalle baseball about saving Lasalle baseball. So you don't want to miss that. That's coming up in just a minute. That's going to be brought to you by the great people of FanUp. But right now, I do want to tell you about my friend Steven Singer. Here at the Steven Singer Studios, we always send people to Steven Singer at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. And why do we do that? Not just because I know Steven's a great guy, he's a friend of mine, because I know he's going to take care of you every single time with the perfect price. There's no crazy sale that's going on. There's no promo code. There's no Mo sent me. There's nothing like that. No, it's just the perfect price every single time, because why wouldn't he want to take care of Philadelphia, right? So every time you go to the other corner of 8th and Walnut, you get the perfect price. You walk in, a real jewelry expert will just help you with everything. Every piece of inventory you want to see, the beautiful diamonds, the gorgeous jewelry they have, A real jewelry expert will walk you through everything. And you don't got to worry about negotiating. You just got to worry about what you want to buy because every day it's set to the perfect price. Here's a little insider tip. Other jewelry stores, they'll mark up prices just to knock it down eventually. You say, we got a sale going on. Or you go in there and say, I can't pay that, but I'll pay this. And all of a sudden you're haggling. You don't need to do that. You don't need the pressure of haggling. You already got enough pressure. If you're buying the engagement ring you want to buy for the person you love, you're about to propose, you don't need that extra added pressure. Just get the perfect price every time at the other corner of 8th and Walnut or at IHateStevensinger.com. Do what I do. Go to IHateStevensinger.com. Every day, the perfect price at Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. Without further ado, this was a lot of fun. Now, I'm a sports fan because I'm a baseball fan. Growing up, that was the first sport that I fell in love with. My dad loved playing baseball, and I always loved baseball. I always sucked at baseball, but I still loved the sport. And that's how I became a sports fan. I remember the Philly Fanatic doll in my crib. You know what I mean? I think I still have it. My parents still have it. That's why I'm a sports fan, because I love baseball so much. And when I heard about Lasalle, the university canceling their baseball program, along with 9 other sports, I wanted to get involved. And it's something that Lasalle, by the way, I do want to say this. I reached out to Lasalle about this. They returned my email. They resent me their press release about why they had to make the decision that they made. They say it's not budget wise, but I mean, I think we know everything comes down to the almighty dollar. So I wanted to get involved and help get the word out about Lasalle baseball and the campaign that has started up to save Lasalle baseball. So without further ado, brought to you by our friends at FanUp, I'd like you to meet the guys at Lasalle baseball and what they're trying to do right now to save the program that they love so much. So here is our first ever Farzy feature on the Farzy Show. When you think of sports on North Broad Street and college, you generally think of basketball. Big 5 battles on the hardwood. But what if I told you about battles with the hard ball? LaSalle baseball has been around since 1931. Over those 90 years of existence, teammates have become friends, friends have become brothers. And now, all that is in grave danger of going away. Last September, the university announced in a statement that they would be reducing the number of their teams from 25 to 18 at the conclusion of the academic year. Among those teams being dissolved, baseball. Yeah, in America, baseball being dissolved. The reason being given by the university, quote, their existing sport offering structure was no longer a sustainable model for success. They went on to stress this wasn't a cost-cutting decision, but their department is undermanned and spread too thin. Well, rather than sit back and just accept this decision by the university, LaSalle baseball alumni stepped up to the plate, most notably James Santore, who got on the phone immediately and started making moves. As an alumni, as someone who has been a pitcher for this program, what was the first thing that went through your mind when you found out that LaSalle baseball was most likely going to be going away?
Yeah, it was absolutely shocking. So my roommate Joe knocked on my door. I was on a call for work, and he said, "Look at your phone." And I know, like, that's never something you want to hear. It's right. Like, look at your phone. Yeah. Like, oh, God, all right, here we go. So I look at my phone, and it says LaSalle baseball just got cut. So I was absolutely shocked. Like, I just didn't know how to react because I think, like, we've seen it happen with a lot of small private institutions. Like, it's hard to operate a lot of teams. It's hard to do this because schools are struggling right now. So I think we've always kind of been like, man, that would suck if it happened. Just never thought it would happen to us, though, or at least never prepared for the moment. So when it happened, the first thing we said is, like, what can we do? So we hosted a town hall meeting with as many alumni and as many people that were interested in helping the cause as possible.
About how many people were on that?
I think 65, 75.
Wow.
And we did it in a day. So it was like, hey, we want to make sure that we can get as many people involved in watching this as possible and that can give their advice. So for me and Joe and Kev, who have really been the ones running the overall, like, Save LaSalle baseball operations and campaign, we wanted to get the word out of why this was important. And for us, like, we all went to LaSalle. We're all local kids. LaSalle gave us all an opportunity to play Division I baseball and to meet our best friends and to really just have, like, this unbelievable experience of really being a true student athlete. So we felt like we needed to make sure people knew that, hey, this small school that not that many people know about deserves this opportunity to get saved.
All right, let me ask you this first, Kevin. What does LaSalle baseball mean to you?
Salle baseball means to me lifelong friendships, brotherhood, guys that I will keep in contact with for the rest of my life.
And what does save LaSalle baseball mean to you?
Save LaSalle baseball, I would probably say it means to never give up. They're kind of doing something that's unheard of. They're breaking records that have been set for 36 years. So I would say Save LaSalle baseball is just about not giving up and not taking no for an answer.
Well, if you guys can have 65 people on a call almost immediately when the news breaks, not planned, just spontaneously, and then you guys can get that many people to show up for a pizza review, right?
Yes.
Then obviously the school knows that there is a push to save this program beyond just a catchphrase, save LaSalle baseball.
Absolutely.
So what has the school told you since you've been having these meetings, raising awareness, and most importantly, raising money to help save LaSalle baseball?
Yeah, so we got to present in front of the athletic board in mid-April, and that conversation was, I kind of saw it coming in the sense of no matter what we did at that point, unless we had $2 or $3 million, it was probably going to get shut down. So our approach was at that time we had $350,000 raised, and we had a bunch of other unique opportunities to bring to the school to help, again, innovate and increase enrollment and bring new curriculum to the table as well, which would then further increase enrollment. So I think it really is a dollars and cents thing. And I understand that. And again, that's where I wish we had a true number that wasn't $9 million to get to. But we were turned away for a chance to go in front of the full board and present our case after that meeting on April 15th. And again, I kind of saw that coming, but the one thing I wanted to get out of that was for a $9 million number to be substantiated. You know, if you're going to tell me that $9 million number, and then my audience is parents, players, alumni, and the general baseball community, if you're going to throw a number out like that, you need to kind of explain how you got to that. Because you know what? If you can explain $9 million and it makes sense and there's backing to it, okay. You know, maybe there's just nothing we can do, and that sucks. But that never happened.
What does LaSalle baseball mean to you?
It's hard to put that into words, Mark. I mean, I have incredible friends from that. I consider them all family. I was best man in a wedding this past weekend of a LaSalle teammate. You know, and particularly, you know, you could say, hey, you could go get that somewhere else. You could go get that in North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, whatever. I think for me as a homegrown Philly kid, staying in Philly was big. To get a Catholic education and play in front of my family was huge. Grew up big A-10 guy. And to put on the LaSalle uniform and play in front of my family in Philadelphia was something that I'll never forget and something that I want kids to experience.
What does save LaSalle baseball mean to you?
Never give up. You know, if someone tells you no, just never give up. You know, fight for what you believe in.
Awesome. All right. Well, best of luck to you guys, and thank you for talking to me. And we'll get this out hopefully by the end of the week, and we'll have some fun with that.
Thanks,
Awesome.
All right. This is from a Temple guy, so
Thank you.
I only
Respect.
half mean that. No, it's awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Seriously.
Appreciate it.
And honestly, best of luck to you. As of right now, in your mind, because it hasn't been explained properly, $9 million seems arbitrary.
It seems like a scare tactic in a sense of like, hey, this is what it is. You get to it, great. If not, it sucks.
All right. So are they firm from your understanding? Are they firm on the $9 million, or have they knocked that down at all?
So we were told that they relayed to the board that the number was $1 million to kind of get back to the board to have the conversation.
Okay.
And $2 million would most likely get it back. So the problem is, again, that's great. And that gave us hope in the sense of, I think we can get there. But I think we can get there if the school gives a public backing or even a private backing that I can use for big donors. And that hasn't happened. I think the most impressive thing I'd say about the way we've handled this from all of our side, from just LaSalle baseball fans, alumni in general, we've been pretty tame. I mean, this is a really difficult situation. A lot of money is at stake. A lot of kids' futures are at stake. And we haven't gone and attacked the school. We haven't done any of that because we don't want to. We love LaSalle. We want to make LaSalle better. We want to keep LaSalle baseball. But at some point, they have to work with us and see that. Because, again, they're winning on the field. There was a national post yesterday. There was 12,000 likes on a post that was put up on a college baseball Instagram. People are seeing this and people are pissed off. The more they hear this story, it's like, that is unfair that they're not giving us a chance to raise money for the school and for a program that already makes money. And that's the best damn program in LaSalle's history.
Well, and on top of that, you guys get this news in September. You would think, oh, the players packed it in. Everyone's leaving. Nobody of substance is staying. Yep. But it's like, oh, no, you guys just have your best season in what, like 35 years?
Yeah, and it's really a testament to Coach Miller and a testament to all the players because it's been so much fun to watch as an alumni. And like we talk about this all the time. I wish we weren't in the situation where it's like a do or die mentality, because I wish I could enjoy this, because it's everything we wanted and worked for when we were there is to get to this type of level and improve the program. And they're doing it in real time right now. And they lost 9 players after the decision was made. So if you're thinking you lose, almost
right after the decision. So even with those 9 guys gone, they still went on to have a great season.
And they lost a few starters, their starting shortstop, a few really big relievers. I mean, they really got decimated by it. And instead, they are the best team in the Atlantic 10. They have a chance to host the playoffs at Lasalle for the first time ever, which would be my favorite thing ever, to be able to go back there. 1, to be able to see another game with the Hank. And 2, it's just, again, they deserve it. They've done such a great job of representing the school, of doing everything that a LaSalle student athlete and a LaSalle student should be doing, is persevering, working super hard, and doing everything possible to win games. And they're doing that while having a 3.1 team GPA, of representing the school. Again, the team and the players and Coach Miller have done a great job of making sure that they haven't made it about LaSalle. Like, it's about them, but they're doing so in such a great way that's not making the school look bad.
If you could sit in front of LaSalle one more time and the people that will be making this decision, what would you tell them? Like, if that camera right over there, if that was LaSalle and you were addressing the board, you have another opportunity to do that, what would you tell them?
People care. People want to help this program, and we can do it. I think we need the opportunity to be given this program back, be given a few years to be able to show that we can start making this a self-sufficient program and then growing it. Because, again, right now, it's awesome. We're first place in the A10, 32 wins. We still have a weekend left. But this is the beginning. We don't have an indoor facility. We don't have the facilities that a lot of our competitors have. Let us help build them. Let us fundraise. Let us give back to the community. Let us do all these things and show that LaSalle baseball deserves to be here and can be better for LaSalle. And again, we're doing all this because we not only care about LaSalle baseball, but we care about LaSalle. So we're going to work until this comes back. And I've said it before, like, until I die, I'll be working to bring this back. So it better happen for this team, because this team deserves to be at LaSalle as long as they want to be at LaSalle. But it's going to be back sooner than later, no matter what.
Have they saved any of the other 9 sports they were attempting to eliminate?
So they saved men's swimming and diving, and it's definitely a different situation. And I'm so happy for them. I mean, it's awesome. Again, I hope to be in that same situation and be celebrating with them in a few weeks, few months, whatever it is. But they had a shared staff, shared facilities, so it is a little bit different, and the costs aren't as much. But we've raised more money than them. And again, I think that our case should be brought back to the board and have that further conversation, because we can't just be thinking about right now. Because again, we have $600,000 pledged right now, which is great. And that will significantly help the school in the short term. The students alone, baseball and softball, because softball most likely will have to be brought back because of Title IX. That's 70 plus students. And that's probably around $750,000 to the school, just from bringing these sports back. On top of that, you have the great PR move of bringing baseball back at a time when they're better than ever. And we can continue to write this narrative. It's a Hollywood movie in waiting. And it's
From your last conversation with LaSalle, how did you leave it?
I said, I told the AD that I hope we're talking again soon, because I'm going to keep trying, and I hope that next conversation goes a lot different.
How was that received?
He said he knew. He said he knew that wouldn't be the last time we were talking, and he said that. And I said, and I think, again, I'm not mad at the school. I'm not mad at anybody specifically. I think the biggest thing is that they made a decision they thought was best. I understand that. I respect that. But we've showed that there's more here than the decision they made. And maybe they need to revisit that. The president resigned that made the decision. The regime's different. Revisit the idea. Give us the fair chance. Don't give us a $9 million number. We'll make it happen. So I said, look, I'm doing this for the right reason. We both want to make LaSalle better. Let's do it together. So
that sounds great, and I'm rooting for you. Have you talked to any other schools? Like Temple went through something similar a few years back. I had friends that were upset about that. Have you talked to anybody else that's been through something similar? Yeah, and I think every situation is different. Bowling Green, just same thing happened. They brought back their program with $1.5 million. Towson a few years ago, they're a public school, so the state stepped in. But there's a lot of programs right now, and we have spoken with a few of those guys. I played with a few of the guys on those different teams, and every situation is different, and LaSalle especially is different, and that's why we're approaching it from a different perspective. Of PR is the value is there and PR, the money we're bringing to the table, and then just the team in general and helping with enrollment. Like, we're bringing a different opportunity than a lot of other schools have.
If you would like to help save LaSalle baseball, reach out to James Santore at Santore43. That's Santore, the number's 43, at yahoo.com. Or you could visit their GoFundMe page at Save LaSalle Baseball on GoFundMe.com. And I'm just so pleased that those guys wanted to share it with us, and I'm so glad that we could actually do that. Our first ever Farzy feature. Good luck to them. If you want to help them out, GoFundMe. Look up James. He also goes by Santore, but he told me he likes when I put the stank on the end, so Santore. So make sure you guys help out if you can. They're looking for people to obviously raise funds. They're looking for people to just help to get the word out, and so we're trying to do that right there. And best of luck to those guys. Here's what's impressed me. When I went through something, I didn't play baseball at Temple, but you probably saw me throwing a baseball there and probably figured it out. But when a lot of people that I knew at Temple were going through something similar, a lot of people were angry. They didn't have a nice thing to say about Temple and all that. And that was few and far between, but it was some people. People I've talked to with Lasalle, they love the university. They had no ill will towards the university. They're simply looking at a problem and they want to resolve it. They want to find a solution to the problem. Those young men, I give them all the credit in the world for how professional they are with this. Again, when I reached out to Lasalle with some questions, they redirected me to their press release. I did ask to see the press release from September, and they have it on their website as well. But still, the questions do remain in terms of if they have moved the ball forward, so to speak, in terms of trying to accomplish this goal. I did not receive an answer to that question from my email. But if you want to help out, make sure you check them out at GoFundMe and also follow at Save LaSalle Baseball on Instagram. So my thanks to James and his friends for talking to us and hopefully helping us share the story. So thanks again for all the people that were involved with that. Moving on. I do have to tell you about some of our great sponsors today, and as I've mentioned before, FanUp brought us that fine piece right there. So I do appreciate people that are helping us put all this together, basically. I do want to tell you about the great people at PHLSportsNation.com. That's PHLSportsNation.com. If you're interested in following more stories, of course, in the Philadelphia sports world, make sure you do so with PhiladelphiaSportsNation.com, following all stories across blogs and social media, PHLSportsNation.com. How about Hers Snacks? Hers is just great. The new popcorn, the fiery hot, fire roasted sweet corn from Hers is amazing. I was sitting on the sofa last night watching the Phillies. I was following the Wizards, going back and forth through those games. But Hers, oh man, the snacks are just out of this world. As we all know, the great Philly area product that they have. And if you've had their fire roasted sweet corn before, you know, the savory, buttery taste, the creamy, buttery taste that you have. Well, imagine that with a little bit of spice, with a little bit of kick. That is the fiery hot, fire roasted sweet corn from Hers. It is a delicious snack. It is like the perfect bite of delicious sweet corn in every bite with Hers snacks. So make sure you check it out when you can. It is delicious. And Steak and Maine brings us our social media check-in. We're going to get to that in just 1 second. Make sure you go check out my friend Tony Cavada at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com for more information. Fine dining, delicious steaks, surf and turf, all that, fresh seafood every single day, oyster bar. Oh, it's amazing. And they also have a great wine pairing with Cavada Cellars Wines. An extensive wine list, but also from Tony Cavada's family to yours, to your table. Open every day for Sunday brunch. They're open for lunch. They're open for dinner. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Make sure you check them out, steakandmaine.com. Also, FanUp, that brought us a great piece right there. FanUp, download the FanUp app right now on the App Store and use promo code FANUP and you get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate. You can rise on their leaderboard, issue challenges to your friends, exchange points, all that, and you can win great brand prizes. You could be the real MVP with FanUp every single day, week, or month with FanUp. May the best fan win. Now it is time for our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. It seems right now the vast majority of you are you're with me. You got to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals if you're the 76ers. And also people right now are very much interested in seeing the Sixers, of course, get to the NBA Finals. Why stop at just the conference finals if the NBA Finals are right there? And I have been saying this for the longest time. The Nets, they don't want this smoke. Oh, no. They don't want this smoke from the 76ers and the defense they can throw on them in the postseason. Now, will the Nets likely win? Yeah, it's a lot of firepower. However, the best matchup for the Sixers, I think the Sixers are the best matchup against the Nets. And that strictly goes because it's defensive speaking. And if you have the defensive player of the year in Ben Simmons, hell, you already have a top 3 defensive player of the year in Ben Simmons. You might even have the defensive player of the year in Ben Simmons. You also have Joel Embiid roaming the post. And guess what? Defensively and offensively, the Nets got no answer for Joel Embiid. So I love that matchup, and the Sixers would certainly at least have a fighting chance against the Nets. I think that series would at least go 6 games, possibly even 7. So I look forward to seeing that. Hopefully the Sixers give us that opportunity to watch that. Let's check in with our fine comments here. A lot of people just crazily supporting Lasalle baseball, so that's great. Yes, Brett, that will be on the pod today. The podcast will feature Lasalle baseball as well. So we'll do the same thing we do every day, which is upload the audio from the shows to have even more discussion about Lasalle baseball. A lot of people checking in with their support of Lasalle baseball. And the confusing thing is you would like there to be a number. And one of the things James told us there was sustainability. If they can keep the revenue coming in to support the program, why wouldn't they keep the program? And I know they said it's not a dollars and cents thing, but when you're saying in your same statement that you're undermanned and you're spread too thin, you ain't spread too thin if you got money coming in. So if they can prove that they can sustain it, then why wouldn't they keep it? And that would also help out softball as well. If they got to keep one, they got to keep one, keep the other. I'm all for that. So hopefully they actually end up doing that. A lot of people talking about the Eagles and Dallas Goedert. One of you guys saying that Dallas Goedert is overrated. I honestly don't think Dallas Goedert is overrated. I've heard that from a couple of people. I just think he needs the opportunity to go to get the football more, and the offense needs to stay healthy. The offensive line, most notably, you have to have some sustained success at quarterback because that's been in flux over the last 2 years, really. So there's different things that they got to dissect with that. Pete did get me. He was talking about LaSalle and Dr. John Giannini used to coach basketball over there. One of the most random things in my life, I've only met Dr. John Giannini once. I've talked to him on the phone a couple of times. I've only met him in person once. The one time I met him was in Green Bay, Wisconsin's airport. The Sunday night football game that the Dallas Cowboys the next day fired Wade Phillips. I was at the airport, and I'm literally putting on my shoes, and a guy, go through security. A guy sits next to me, and I just glance over, and it's Dr. John Giannini. And I couldn't help but laugh. We just interviewed him on the radio, I think that Friday morning. And this was, of course, Monday morning. But yeah, small world, as they say. But Pete, you got me. I thought you met him out there too. You got me. Evidently now. Not. Mally's checking in. Dan Schwartz is blaming, go figure, Mike Sealski. Use guys. Let me tell you. Mouth-watering for hers. You're damn right. What else do we have here? A lot of Eagles conversation, as you would expect. A lot of Sixers conversation going on with expectations. So I appreciate everybody checking in on our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's get to this. Let's get to our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Speaking, there's like random just negativity surrounding Tim Tebow for whatever reason. And when we spoke to Hugh Douglas about this a week ago, when the story broke that he was going to sign, that Tim Tebow was going to sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars, there were people out there that were like, Tim Tebow, damn you. Like, this guy gets to follow whatever dream he has. Good for him. I have no ill will towards Tim Tebow. Here's a weird analogy I'll throw at you. Remember Dane Cook, the comedian Dane Cook? I thought Dane Cook was funny. I didn't think Dane Cook was like flat out hilarious, funniest comic I ever seen. Yet he had like this fan base that treated him like he invented comedy. And it's like, all right, well, slow down. There's some funny things that he says, and I enjoy his delivery. But he's not the funniest comic I ever seen. And it was explained to me by a friend of mine. They didn't hate Dane Cook. They hated Dane Cook fans because they blew him up to be like this incredible thing. Like, I don't hate Tim Tebow, but man, I hate the pile honors, if you will, of Tim Tebow. Let the guy have his fun. He's made the right connections in his life. He's worked hard. Like, this guy didn't play baseball since high school. And yeah, sure. Did he deserve versus everybody else to get a tryout and get an opportunity to play for the New York Mets? No, probably not. But if the guy's applying himself and other people want to bring him in, Guess what? He's put himself in a pretty damn good position. I don't fault him for that. Oh, he's taking a spot from what? Yeah, guess what? He has found a way to make himself valuable. And that's all life is about, folks. It's making yourself valuable. You know what? If you're a borderline prospect and you're not getting that shot, go out there and be a little bit better. It's a tough world out there, folks. Tim Tebow just taking advantage of it. I fault Tim Tebow nothing. He's got a coach giving him a shot as a tight end. Oh, what about this guy? He's not getting a shot. Okay, sucks to be that guy. This is the world. He's got connections. But it's not like he's just sitting. Like, people act like Tim Tebow's just been sitting on his ass for 10 years, just getting like fat and out of shape. No, he's been staying in shape, and he's going to be out there right now. He might even make the team. I don't think Urban Meyer's just bringing him. Maybe Urban Meyer's just bringing him in there to be the motivational speaker for Jacksonville. Maybe to help change the culture that's been so terrible in Jacksonville. Maybe that's why Tim Tebow's there. Maybe he doesn't even make the roster. Maybe he's just a guy that's out there just to boost, I don't know, morale, be a positive influence. I don't know. But that's what he's doing. So I have no issue whatsoever with Tim Tebow. NBA last night. I want to make sure I get back to this here. Not last night, 2 nights ago. I didn't get into this enough because I just thought it was silly, but it seems to have taken on a life of its own. Did anybody think LeBron James was actually looking at 3 different rims when he shot what would be the game-winning 3 against the Warriors? People have taken that literally. Like, he's being goofy. Like, people get that, right? Like, Anthony Davis even joked after the game that maybe we should poke LeBron James in the eye every game. Are we all losing our minds here? Yes, we are, actually. Social media is making us lose our minds. That was our Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motor. Sixers, once again, they start everything Sunday, 1 o'clock against Washington in South Philadelphia. So I look forward to all that coming together nicely. That was our Morning Rush segment brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Big bets. I bet the Wizards to cover the -3.5 against the Pacers. And, oh, man, did they do that. So I won a couple of bucks off the game last night. And then, of course, I told you yesterday that I liked the idea of going with the Warriors over the Grizzlies. They were at -3.5 as well. So I think I'll cash in on that big bet as well. We'll find out tonight with the Warriors taking on the Grizzlies. So cross your fingers for all that and more. And you can bet that, obviously, with DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Make sure you go on to DraftKings and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and have your fun with all things DraftKings. Oh, look at that. It's down to minus. Now the Warriors are at a 5-point favorite. Warriors are now a 5-point favorite in that matchup, and I was able to get them at -3.5 yesterday. So that's good for me. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you go to the YouTube page you're on right now and subscribe, and also share the story with Lasalle Baseball. We will have that story isolated and shared on YouTube, on our YouTube channel a little bit later, shortly after the show, as a matter of fact. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Let's go Sixers. Let's go Phils. Bounce back a little bit here, will you? We'll be back with you guys on Monday morning to hopefully talk about the Sixers 1-0 series lead on the Washington Wizards. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who not only produced this program, but also did a fine job producing the LaSalle baseball feature for Save LaSalle Baseball. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. We'll be back with you guys on Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take it easy.